Hello there.
Hello there.
And welcome to What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die? My name's Jamie.
And my name is Shaun.
And we love Star Wars.
Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Oh my God. Star Wars.
Jabber the Star Wars.
Jabber the Star.
So fat he's a star. So this is our weekly podcast where we just talk about various things Star Wars, alternate theories. Sometimes we talk about existing series. Sometimes we just make up our own stuff using our own head-canon.
We do. Sometimes we do a blind ranking as well. We haven't done any of those in ages.
It's been a while, hasn't it? We'll
have to get back into doing a bit of that.
We'll have to do one of those soon.
Yeah.
So this week, no messing around. What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about Darth to the Maulius Kenobi. I love doing that. We're going to talk a little bit of smack about Darth Maul now. He's obviously got an extensive sort of story.
Yes, which is interesting because you know the story. I do not know the story.
You have seen him, you as a live action only, you would have seen him in...
Two things.
Which are,
obviously, Phantom Menace. And Solo.
Just at the end where he's on the old video to Emilia Clarke there.
Yeah, it's almost like a little Easter egg, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it's sort of their way of just going, watch the animated stuff.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not going to know diddly squat.
So listeners who are new to this, I have only really watched the live action stuff. I've watched very, very small amounts of animated stuff.
Yeah.
But the sheer size of the Clone Wars is too daunting, and and believe it or not, I'm actually a grown-up now, and that means I don't really have time. I've got responsibility. It's tough to find time for an entire series like that. Whereas Shaun,
he's still a grown-up.
He's barely a grown-up, but has grown up watching basically everything.
Yeah, I've tried to cram in as much as I can in the right order as well, which has helped.
Yeah,
my little brain. Now I'm not no good with names or years, like 521 BBY or anything like that. Like
before Yoda.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, yeah, literally. Best before Yoda. Yeah. So normally what happens is we put up a prequel era kind of vid, or podcast, and then our good friend Brad normally goes, "Oh, do you know that was actually 250 ABY after the Battle of Yavin?" Oh, was it? Cheers, dude. So if I forget any names or mess it up, or sort of the chronological order of things that I may mention, just
don't at us, but also
please talk to us.
Please
get in touch about this, because we're going to have a little bit of lore, I think, about Maul, and then potential, obviously I'll get to the end point of what sort of happens to him. And then, there might be some stuff in between. Maybe we'll have a little bit of headcanon, because there are some good characters that he meets here.
Yeah.
And it's not touched upon in a live-action series, and I'll explain as we get there.
Well, shall I start off by giving some background?
Give some background, sir.
Almost like a history before we meet Darth Maul, very briefly. So Darth Maul, if you haven't seen him before, he is the baddie with the dual double-ended lightsabers.
Yeah, the first time we've seen it. Obviously not the first time in lore that somebody's used one.
No.
But in live action, all them years ago, 25 years ago, when it first come out, and everyone just lost their bloody minds when the music started.
I mean, what a scene. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's still one of the best, if not the best, lightsaber battle.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Coupled with the music, which is absolutely perfect.
Oh, spot on.
For that battle. Yeah. Oh, great. Sorry, I cut you up. But so before we saw him there.
Okay, so yes, he is. His species is not human. He's actually a Zabrak, or maybe a Zabrakian.
Zabrakian.
From the planet Dathomir, which is based in the Outer Rim.
Yep.
You know the Outer Rim.
It's where everything cool happens in Star Wars.
All the greats, Tatooine, Jeddah, all of them, they're all out there somewhere. Usually outside of the reach of the Empire. And he was trained in the ways of the dark side. Dark side. Since his childhood.
Yes.
So he was an early adopter.
Yeah.
Trained by Darth Sidious.
Yep.
So he only really knows anger, hatred, and
it's a bit weird because Dathomir, you also have the Dathomiri witches, which we do see in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're a big influence because you've got the Night Mothers, and I always viewed it as the Zabrakians, like the males, are the males of the planet, and then like the Night Mothers and the witches were like the females.
Mm-hmm.
Even though obviously it didn't work like that.
No,
I mean they're two separate species. It just so happens that the Night Mothers are on Dathomir.
Yes,
and they use magic, but it's like
it's Force adjacent, isn't it?
Force adjacent, a bit like the magic in the Acolyte.
It's
all seen as it's magic and we use the Force, but actually it's all the Force. It's just
how they call upon it, I suppose. So
use it, yeah.
Dathomir itself is remote and mysterious.
And it's quite an evil-looking place.
Yeah, it's bathed in a red light.
That's it, yeah.
Because of the central star.
It's like dark red.
Yeah, so
it's not like our star, yeah.
Almost blood. It's just blood in the air.
Like a blood moon.
Yeah, and so, as you were saying, it's home of the Night Sisters, who are Force-sensitive witches.
Yeah.
Run adjacent. Now, also on Dathomir, you might have heard of the Night Sisters. They're, as you say, they're in Ahsoka. We hear about them in various places, but there were also the Night Brothers. Now, the Night Brothers are the Zabrakians.
Yes.
And so they're the male Zabraks, including Darth Maul. He was a Night Brother who must have been a really small Night Brother.
Yeah, he must have been a real little youngster. A little baby boy.
But they serve the Night Sisters.
Yes.
So that is their job.
Yeah.
So then young Darth Maul gets whisked away to become evil Sith.
Evil Sith by Palpatine. But which is a bit weird because at this point, and I might be getting a bit confused here with me timelines, but surely Dooku is sort of already at the point where, because you think when Qui-Gon faces Maul in Phantom Menace,
yeah,
Maul's obviously a young man, maybe a teenager, late teen. So the time difference between Dooku going over to the dark side and becoming Palpatine's apprentice, and then he wants Darth Maul as his apprentice, which is obviously greedy because there can only be two Sith.
Yes.
Which harkens back to a conversation we had a long time ago about Dooku. Is he actually a pure Sith?
Well, this is it. Or is it that Darth Maul is not really Sith? He was just brought up evil. He's not truly Sith. He's actually a Night Brother.
He's outside of the rule of two.
Yeah,
he uses a red lightsaber.
The Night Sisters would be seen as quite often as being dark side.
Yeah. But they're not Sith.
But they're not Sith.
Yeah.
So does that mean to say that Darth Maul himself, being a Night Brother, actually is not Sith, and therefore we don't know about Dooku?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. So when we find out that Darth Maul exists, Yoda says, "Oh, there can only be two. Always an apprentice, always a master."
Yeah. This is it.
But they didn't even know there was any Sith until this moment.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, exactly.
So all they assumed is that Darth Maul's a Sith, and there's a master somewhere. They don't know who the master is. They don't find out for 2 more films.
Yeah, it takes some bloody years.
Even though he's right under their noses.
Yeah, right under my very nose.
But we meet Dooku later. Now, we know that Dooku was not... He's not Darth Maul's master, is he?
No, even though they do interact at some point.
Yeah, it's... If we were to look at Darth Maul as being Sith adjacent, I think that makes everything a little easier. Unless at the point... So that there is... I suppose there's another way to look at it, is that Darth Maul was Sith, but at that point Dooku was not. And
yeah,
it's only
that's
after,
a good way to look at it.
And it's only after Darth Maul has been bisected
yeah.
that Dooku has then become Sith.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's an interesting... I mean, not to get too distracted, but Dooku is an interesting Sith character.
Yeah.
In the same way that Qui-Gon's an interesting Jedi character.
Yeah.
They do align themselves that way, but they're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, there's a grey area where... because I don't view Dooku as Sith. I think he chose a path.
He fell in with the wrong crowd, that's all.
That's it. But it's not like
peer pressure.
You've never heard a story of him going to a Sith temple and getting a Sith holocron and really like cutting his palms and dripping the blood into the well or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean?
Sacrificing a goat.
And there's none of this getting on his knees in front of Palpatine. It's a bit more like
there's a level of respect there, I suppose. Like Palpatine probably respects Dooku's wisdom and his experience.
Yeah, exactly, because he was Yoda's apprentice.
Yeah. So I think there's an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say, I mean, I don't know Dooku's history that well.
But then Sidious does call Maul his young apprentice
on the
hologram thing, doesn't he? Because
my young apprentice.
Yes. Kill the youngling. Bring him to me alive.
So that would make sense then, wouldn't it? So Darth Maul is Sith, but this is where things actually become a bit more hazy, because Darth Maul gets chopped in half.
Yep.
But he doesn't die.
No.
Still Sith.
Still a Sith. He just gets more and more angry. I'll tell you what happens there. Let's have a little quick lore dive. He actually falls down the shaft, and his body gets dumped on the junk planet that is Lothal Minor. And what happens there is he basically keeps himself alive. He builds himself some mechanical spider legs, a bit Warhammer-y, that.
Yeah.
And he lives off of rats and whatnot and all the little vermin that live on the planet. And he's made like this spider robot thing. Those of you who've seen the Clone Wars will remember that.
Yeah.
Because when you first see him, you're like, oh, God, jeez.
Brother,
brother, Maul, yeah, and he's so consumed. He's basically lost his mind, but he's so angry at being killed. He's so angry, I think, at Palpatine leaving him to rot.
Yeah.
Because Palpatine should be able to feel him still alive, should be able to go and find him almost, but he don't. He sort of just chucks him in, like, oh, sure, he's dead, whatever. I'll use Dooku now as my little one piece until I get Anakin ready. Like, he's already on to the next thing, isn't he?
Well, he's always moving, isn't he?
He's always moving. His end goal was always to have Anakin.
Yeah.
So when he's on this planet, he's then found by his brother, Savage Opress.
Okay.
He's a yellow Dathomirian.
Oh.
Or what was they called? Zabrak. And then there's a whole big storyline about him taking Maul back to the Night Mothers. They heal him with his magic. He finally finds his mind again. Like, they sort of, right, stop being a babbling moron. Like, they take, they take the sort of ramblings of a hermit sort of evil guy away and sort of go, right, remember who you are.
Yeah.
And he wakes up and he's got these new, legs.
Metal
so he's not
legs.
a spider boy no more. And then he sort of finds himself again. At this point, then there's a whole big storyline about Savage Opress being trained by Dooku, Maul and him team up for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maul tries to do all these things. He tries to sort of... He allies with the Death Watch, the Black Suns, and the Pike Syndicates, and this is where he forms a Shadow Collective, at which... This is where now you see in Solo.
Okay, yeah.
So... His brother's also dead at this point. I think Sidious has killed him, or maybe it's just after this. So after Solo, I think maybe they kill his brother off. Obviously, they have to kill him because you don't hear about him.
No, I'd never heard of him.
So obviously, he was made real by the animated series. And they had to kill him off in the animated series because by episode 3, when Order 66 happened, you can't hear about him.
No,
because obviously in the films, that's it. Anakin's sort of with Order 66, all of this bad stuff happens, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All of the characters that you find obviously have to be dealt with.
Yeah,
which is just normal Star Wars. We've said this countless times. You know, it has to all add up to the films. So if you have stuff in between the films, it's got to make sense.
Yeah, as long as for the main arc.
For the main arc, yeah, that's it. And I think that's quite interesting because then Sidious and Dooku.
Elmafud. Porky pig.
That's all, folks. Yeah, they both then obviously interact with Dooku and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we see him in Solo, I think that's after the Night Mothers have healed him, and he's sort of gone on this little tirade. He's still not a Sith at this point. He still uses a red lightsaber.
Yeah.
But he's just... he's got a red laser sword. He's not... the great big Sith. Darth Maul's back. Nah, it's just him and his brother. They're like Inquisitors. They have red lightsabers, but they're not Sith.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all them Inquisitors have red lightsabers.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? That you get so many dark side Jedi or characters not Sith.
Yeah.
Like there can only be 2 Sith. There can be infinite Jedi, but only 2 Sith.
Yeah, but they have followers, don't they?
But yeah.
Or like minions who have red lightsabers.
But who would only ever align themselves if they were given the choice 50-50. Are you going to be Jedi? Are you going to be Sith? Well, I'm going to be Sith. But are you Sith? No.
I'm just
why not?
guy.
Because I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
Because somebody wrote a rule some years ago.
20,000 years ago.
Yeah, and it just means that I have to actually, technically, I don't have a name.
Yeah, I'm just I would have said acolyte, but that's the wrong term. It's follower,
disciple, yeah, something like
sort
that.
of thing. You know, yeah. Which, but then that's it's weird because that's such a big thing because obviously because of Boba Fett and Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously after the little Easter egg on Han Solo film, like we watch Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. They're Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a whole thing that Mandalore's gone. We actually go there in Mandalorian season 3, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
And see it all blown up. That's because of Maul. but because this was in an animated thing, it's really hard for them to go, Maul did all that.
Yeah.
It was these syndicates who did that. He killed Pre Vizsla, whatever his name was, like the big main sort of Mandalorian, the Death Watch leader. You know, and there was even a point where, so he tried to take over Mandalore with all of his sort of syndicate, the Shadow Collective. Sorry, he takes over Mandalore, and he kills the Queen or the Princess of Mandalore. Forget her name.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my little notes somewhere, but I can't remember. And that's important because Obi-Wan actually loved her.
Oh yes.
Remember, I said ages ago that Obi-Wan, like, he tries to act all noble in Jedi code, but he ain't no monk.
No.
He's obviously
his eyes aren't painted on.
No, that's it. Like, you know, he's obviously shared saliva with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's this Mandalorian princess. How they met, I don't know. But Maul kills her.
He'd just been on a solo mission.
Now, this is it, yeah. You know, he went on a bit of a blind date, and that's what he wound up with. So he goes there and he destroys all of them. And while he's actually there, he tries to goad Anakin to go there because he knows Sidious wants Anakin. So he's smart as well as full of hatred and anger and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
He tries to lure Anakin there, which would then lure Obi-Wan, because he's obsessed with Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Obsessed.
Yes.
And when I say obsession, I don't mean lightly.
Well, if somebody chops you in half,
you are going to be like...
You're probably going to be chasing them for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life, yeah. But then he meets Ahsoka.
Okay, so Darth Maul's met Ahsoka.
Yeah, in Mandalore.
Right.
So again, it's a shame that Ahsoka weren't in the films, because that is one of the biggest turning points, because they actually form a funny little alliance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Ahsoka at that point in the story, I think she sort of left the Order. She still talks to Anakin, but she's like, I can't be in this Jedi Order because it's lies.
Yeah.
Which is where the Gandalf sort of grey Jedi, white Jedi comes into it, and she's like, oh, I don't believe in all of this. I'm still a Jedi, but you guys are full of crap. Almost.
Yeah.
So they form a little thing, which is just nuts, because he's obviously going to blow up Mandalore and stuff like that, and the downfall. And then, later on down the line, he meets Ezra Bridger as well.
Right.
Because Yoda sends off a young boy who's had only a little bit of training to a Sith temple to find the holocron to get some information about the Sith that Yoda can feel in the Force, And he meets Maul, and Maul then makes an alliance with him to get to the temple and get the holocron. It's all a ploy, obviously.
Yeah.
But he does work with Ezra Bridger, who's in the live action Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
and Ahsoka. Have they mentioned it in the series of
No.
Ahsoka? No. Are they going to keep it quiet? Yeah. Because the thing is about the animated series is, yes, it happened, but they don't really want to talk about it in the live action, because it opens up too many avenues of they need to explain it in live action now.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, the Ahsoka series itself is kind of bad for that.
Yeah.
Because I watched Ahsoka, I enjoyed it, but there's so many references in there.
Especially to Rebels and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like that. Who's Hera Syndulla?
Yeah, why is this person so important?
Yeah, why's she got a picture of a random bloke on her dashboard? One of the greatest Jedi that ever lived.
It's kind of difficult, and it was good when I was watching it, because then you were able to go, oh yeah, this guy's important.
Yeah.
This person, the world between worlds, the whales, all sorts of various bits and pieces.
Yeah, all come out. All come out, and when she sees Anakin in the world between worlds, and you're like, that's so important there.
Yeah.
But they didn't explain it.
Yeah,
because it's too much.
Yeah, you need that animated series where you've got almost the freedom to explain stuff in more detail, because you can go, well, there's 20 episodes in here, and they're only 20 minutes each, so we can concentrate on explaining what is this. Why are there whales in space?
Yeah, like for 3 episodes of just explaining crap.
Yeah.
But in an animated style.
And if you're into it, you'll enjoy it and you'll absorb it, and you'll be like, okay, that's cool. And then it'll happen, and then you'll watch Ahsoka and go like, oh,
which is
that's
what I was doing.
Awesome.
Which is what I was doing in Ahsoka. I was look. Yeah, but obviously, like yourself, you don't watch the animated stuff, which is obviously fine, but this stuff here, like Maul, is so big in everything that builds up.
And then
it's
just nowhere,
and
except
it's nowhere,
for one little hologram in Solo.
Which, doesn't explain anything.
No, it's just your questions, yeah. If you don't know, so I had no idea he was still alive, not a clue. Yeah. And then I watched it and I was like, is that Darth Maul? He's got metal legs.
He's obviously still alive.
Yeah, but what's he do? I feel like there should have been a sequel to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever get one. It doesn't feel like we're going to get a sequel. I could be wrong. But I just feel like we need that one more story to explain what's Darth Maul doing.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's already been explained.
It's already been explored, and they can't then make Solo 2, because it would mean Han Solo would have to get involved with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And that would change how Darth Maul affected Mandalore, and it would change how he died, because obviously we know what happens to Darth Maul because of the end of Rebels.
Yeah, we also know what Han Solo's like when we first meet him.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in the Jedi as being a
thing.
Yeah, like silly space wizards.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's his take on it. But if he'd met Darth Maul, he would take it seriously.
Yeah, and then obviously when we first meet him in episode 4, he would be a little bit more serious about it.
Yeah,
because he's had that. But they have to go. Well, he didn't know anything in episode 4, so he's never met him, has he?
Because everything still has to tie back to those main movies.
To episode 4 especially, yeah.
That's a shame. It's interesting, and it's a shame. I wish there was more live action Darth Maul.
I wish there was. And do you know what they could have done? They could have just made a series about Darth Maul. Yeah. Because obviously, let's just finish off his storyline quick before I go into this.
Yeah.
So he blows up Mandalore. He's obviously got the Shadow Syndicate, blah, blah, blah. He works with Ezra and Ahsoka, and he's double-crossing them or whatever. He then gets so angry because he destroys Mandalore to draw Anakin out, meets Ahsoka, blah, blah, blah. He became leader of the Crimson Dawn, which he actually operated from Dathomir, which would have been cool. They could have put that into a little series. You know, just a little mini-series of Maul on Dathomir organising all of these sort of thieves and pirates and whatnot.
Being a crime boss.
Yeah, but it didn't have to be Jedi-ish.
No.
It would be almost a bit like Andor.
Yeah, or it could be like a Jabba the Hutt. A series like Jabba the Hutt could be.
Which they wanted Boba Fett to be, but it sort of didn't turn out that way.
No.
Do you know what I mean, though? But that kind of thing, yeah? And they could have had, Drayden Voss in there and stuff like that. And then he could have met Ezra. And then after all of that, he does the ritual with Ezra when he gets to the top of the Sith Tower. Yeah? Yeah. And then he goes back to Dathomir and there's some stuff with the Night Mothers and blah, blah, blah. But basically, the end of Maul's story is this. He finds out from the Night Mother, after his syndicate's collapsed and Ezra's and Ahsoka's worked with him and destroyed everything he's built, blah, blah, blah. Mandalore's gone. The galaxy is literally gutted.
Yeah.
Because they were the best fighters, they had the best armour, they were like SAS on crack. Thinking if the clone troopers were SAS, blah, blah, blah. So he finds out where Kenobi's hiding. Yeah. Where's Kenobi at this point?
Well, he should be on Tatooine, shouldn't he?
He's on Tatooine watching young Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything's happened with Palpatine, who killed his brother and tortured Maul and his brother, and then killed his brother. So Maul's obviously really angry at Palpatine. But all he's thinking is, well, Palpatine is doing his own thing, but he's so obsessed with Kenobi. So he goes to Tatooine, and it's like he realises he's obviously not there hiding because it's Kenobi. He knows Obi-Wan.
Yes.
He knows how sort of up his own arse he is.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan doesn't preach being a good Jedi. Like, he doesn't preach being the best.
No.
But he is cocksure, which is just his character almost, It's not like he's purposeful.
Yeah, he's very sure of himself.
Yeah.
He's confident, but he's also quite quiet when he wants to be.
When he wants to be, he can listen, which is also a sign of a great Jedi. But anyway, he goes into hiding because he failed Anakin, and he failed the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
So he's been hiding on this planet for a little while. In Rebels, he already looks a bit like Alec Guinness.
Oh, right,
so what they've done is, in the Clone Wars, he looked like Ewan McGregor. But in Rebels, they sort of changed his face a bit to...
They aged him up a bit.
Yeah, even though it's only been, like,
a couple of years.
Like 5 years.
It's been tough, though.
Yeah, toughest 5 years of his life. He had a shit paper round, I'll give you that. Maul finds him.
Yeah.
He's so angry. Kenobi, I'm going to find you and kill you. Draws his lightsaber. Kenobi, one of the greatest, most emotional scenes you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Draws his lightsaber. Kenobi does his typical...
Yeah.
2 fingers up, lightsaber by the cheek, sort of thing. And then he thinks, no, this is how Maul nearly beat me before. And he goes, I'm not that Jedi no more. So he relaxes. Adopts Qui-Gon's pose. Form 3 or whatever it is. Don't know what form he uses. Maul's obviously flipping around. He's still got his double-ended lightsaber. Goes through. Kenobi just does one stroke. And he's gone.
Just that quick.
One stroke.
After all of that build-up.
All that build-up. But this is obviously a bit more about Obi-Wan, it just goes to show how much he's changed after fighting Anakin.
Mm.
And this is why, and it's a callback to how he fights Vader in Episode 4.
Yeah.
Because he's very slow, very confident. You know, I don't have to do all the flips and tricks. That's not where my power lies.
No.
My power lies in belief. Kills Maul, and then Maul sort of says, "Oh, is he the chosen one?" Obviously talking about Anakin. And obviously Obi-Wan was like, "Yeah, he is." And he goes, "Oh, he'll avenge us all," or something like that, or unless he's talking about Luke or whatever. But yeah, Maul knows that Luke's on Tatooine, but obviously he's so overwhelmed with Kenobi, he's got to fight Kenobi. Kenobi beats him.
What an interesting thing, though.
And that's how a storyline ends. It started with Obi-Wan cutting him in half, then it ends with Obi-Wan cutting him in half, just vertically, not horizontally. Basically, obviously, Star Wars ain't that graphic, but the way the lightsaber works, Maul would have been cut in half.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But obviously, on all the Wikipedias, it'll just say, "Oh, just cut his chest open," and he died straight away. Fair enough, but in reality, he would have been cut in half.
Quite.
But he had all of that crap life. He was brought up to be a bad guy. He was abused by the Emperor. He saw his brother tortured. He had to help his brother. He had apprentices and then syndicates, and he really tried to stay on top of all these things. And he was full of menace and malice and all of that stuff. And he wanted to push his intentions on everybody. He used kids to get Sith holocrons, you know, and he gave the rebels a hard time. The worst thing he did in my books is he blinded Kanan Jarrus, who's a great Jedi, one of the best Jedi you'll never see in live action. And if they do put him in live action, they better fucking do him right. Because if they don't, I'm done. I'm done with Star Wars if they ruin Kanan.
Yeah.
I'm serious. He blinds him. But Kanan, who gives up on the Force at first, comes back.
You don't need your eyes to see with the Force.
No, you don't, and that's what he learns. And then what happens at the end? One of the greatest moments in Star Wars history, because he loves Hera Syndulla from Ahsoka. He's holding back an explosion with the Force, and she tries to run out the ship to save him, and he pushes her back with his other hand. Nope, stay on the ship and get out. What does the Force do? His eyes change, because they're obviously all grey and clouded.
Yeah.
They come back, and he sees the love of his life for the last time. He pushes the ship away, and then he obviously lets the bomb go down because he needs all of his energy to keep her safe. Oh! But that storyline couldn't have happened without Maul. This is how important Maul is to so much that happened in the universe. Do you know what I mean? The Mandalorian wouldn't be a show if it weren't for Maul.
Do you know what's really funny? Like, we've talked about Star Wars now for, well, we're in our 8th month. We're nearly 9 months in.
Yeah.
In fact, by the time this comes out, I think we'll be at 9 months of Star Wars chat.
Yeah.
And we've talked about watching the Clone Wars and watching Rebels and watching Bad Batch, etc. And I always think, I should watch it because I need to know more about Ahsoka, or I need to know more about what Anakin does when he's fighting, or, you know, this relationship that Obi-Wan and Anakin have, like this little bit extra we see behind. That's kind of cool. But it's not until today when we talk about Darth Maul and you get so passionate about these other characters who we'll never see.
Yeah.
And this whole backstory about Darth Maul, who is in Phantom Menace, one of the most memorable characters, if not the most memorable.
Yeah.
We only ever see him one other time in live action for all of 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And we never hear from him. But what an incredible story.
Yeah, exactly.
And you sit there and go, well, he grew up into evil, punished, tried his best. He was bad, but he was punished, and he's done this, and he's done this all his life.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And you think, God, there's so much to his story.
Yeah, so much.
That as a live action watcher. Now, I'm not promising I'm going to start watching Clone Wars, like I say.
Exactly.
It's a lot to watch, but what I would say is it's these little episodes which give us the insight
Yeah.
that actually show the depth of the animated stuff
Yeah.
that you kind of take for granted. Like, you don't realise these characters exist. Like, I love the Mandalorian, but to see Darth Maul destroy Mandalore,
yeah,
like, and never, it's never spoken about.
Yeah.
Outside of
a little bit of Mandalorian where they do go back there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is the devastation of Mandalore or whatever.
But it's not really, you don't see Maul again, do you? It's
There's
just
no flashback of Maul sat in the chamber.
What you're seeing is you're seeing the ghost of Maul in places, but without seeing him.
Yeah.
And without a direct reference to the fact that it was him.
Yeah, exactly. He influenced so much, and I love what Filoni did, because obviously Filoni wrote the animated stuff.
Yeah.
He was such a good character. We need to build on that.
Yeah.
And bringing him back by making him survive on pure evil alone. And then for him to cascade into this sort of crime bossy, I don't need Sidious, I want to do this, do that. You're like, yeah, he deserved to come back and prove himself. And what an ending as well. Him and Kenobi again. Full circle.
Which is how it should be.
It always should have been. And it's actually good for... And it actually... Even though it was the end of Maul, it was the beginning of Obi-Wan as we see him in Episode 4.
Yes.
Which again, because it's the beginning of all Star Wars, that is how it should be. It needs to be that way for Episode 4. And of course, you know, we started on Episode 4, 5 and 6. When Phantom Menace come out, I know kids today probably watch 1, 2 and 3 first. You know.
Yeah, these days, yeah.
But after watching 4, 5 and 6, you see a couple of aliens. Darth Vader's obviously got the helmet and he's really iconic. You see Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett and you think, oh yeah, all these guys, they're cool. Darth Maul took that hood off and he had little walnuts coming out of his head. You had never seen a more terrifying face of blood red and black.
No.
Like that. He looked more dangerous than Darth Vader.
Oh, definitely.
Which is weird because we think Darth Vader is this epic, you know, final boss of every single thing Star Wars because it's Anakin in a suit. But Darth Maul looked more terrifying.
Oh, and more agile and just more...
He was just doing all the flips, all the tricks. He had a double-ended lightsaber. And granted, in Kenobi, obviously, Vader walks through and he's just with the ship. Come here.
Yeah.
You know, and in Rogue One, he's menacing. But he's not scary.
He's powerful.
His power is scary.
I would say Darth Maul's agility and his speed and the way he looks are scary. But Darth Vader is scary because you can't ever see his face. He's also immensely strong in the Force.
Yeah.
And when he wields the lightsaber, if he hits you once, you're not coming away with a graze.
No, that's true.
You lose an arm.
He's more like an oppressive scary because he's so powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas Maul is visually more scary.
Yeah.
As a bad guy. But I think that's what the prequels needed, though. The prequels, because they had to change the way the Jedi were, so they made them more backflippy, a little bit more, you know. I mean, look at Yoda fighting Dooku.
Yeah.
That to me was a stupid ass fight. He didn't have to do all that, but they needed to change the way it worked for the time.
Not to get too off topic, and you know we should
stick to Maul.
Stick to Maul, but just on the topic of Yoda fighting there. Wouldn't it have been better if he just didn't even have a lightsaber? His power was all in the control of the Force, and people just couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
Because he was able to put up a force field, some sort of barrier, or he could just, if he wanted something, to come down and crash onto someone, not even break a sweat.
Yeah, just stand there. A bit like, again, harking back to the Acolyte. How did Carrie Ann Fisher's character fight in the first opening scene? It's a little bit more Matrix, dodge. I don't need to draw my weapon. That would have been better for us with Yoda. That style of defence. Anyway.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah, but back to Maul there. But yeah, absolutely love that character. I would love to see, Because obviously there's a lot of him in the thingy, but we could have a live action of him and his Crimson Dawn syndicate.
Yeah, like what we said, building up an empire.
Building up an empire. It could be a little bit like the Penguin in Gotham. When he's young, he has nobody, and he builds it up, which is kind of what the TV show Gotham's about. You could have it a bit like that.
Yeah.
Less Jedi, but a little bit more Andorish, a little bit gritty. It could literally start with the hologram on Solo. He turns the hologram off, and then the series starts, and he's starting to do his stuff there and then. And it could have some flashback episodes to be like, this is how he got to this bit, this is how he got all the pikes to work for him.
Yeah.
This is how he, and if he's planning by then to invade Mandalore, if that's after, I can't quite remember, but you could have flashback episodes, when he goes back in time, and you can see these decisions. You don't have to watch how it happens, because that's obviously in the animated series, but you can watch the build up to these decisions.
Yeah. I think it would be good to see that sort of thing happen. And I think you're right. If it was like Andor,
less Jedi, a little bit more human-y.
Because I think when we watch series now which have got Jedi in, people criticise them because now they've got to come up with some new way to separate them from the existing Jedi and what they can do. So like backflips and, now they've got whips for lightsabers and all this sort of stuff. This stuff which somewhere in the lore exists. But if you watch it for the first time and you see it and you go, well, now you're just adding stuff for the sake of adding stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's how it looks, isn't it?
And that's how it feels when you watch it. Yeah, of course.
If you take away the Jedi and their magic powers
and focus on the human element,
then actually that's why Andor was probably so successful.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people I speak to love Andor. No Jedi.
And the same with The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like, very few Jedi feature in it.
And even if they do, they're not using powers overly, are they?
No, it's more about a warrior tribe, but a single character from a warrior tribe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, who's part of the tribe, but he's kind of Ronin in himself, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it all back to Ronin.
Yeah, all the time. George Lucas still has his finger in those bloody pies.
Yeah.
But I mean, and speaking of Ronin, we talked about Visions a couple of episodes ago. Why isn't there just like a sort of Visions episode of Darth Maul as a Ronin wandering around? Between his time on Dathomir and going to Mandalore, can't he be wandering the systems?
Yeah,
he could literally be a Ronin. He could have his red lightsaber. Doesn't mean he says he's a Jedi or a Sith, though.
No.
Maybe he's just wandering. Maybe he's got a red lightsaber. Maybe he helps some people, and then maybe other times he just loses his rag.
Yeah,
he does whatever he needs to do. There's all these things, because obviously, the Night Mother's healed him, but he's still that little bit of
he's unbalanced, isn't he?
He's unbalanced. He doesn't know what he wants. He's worried about Sidious and Anakin and Ahsoka and and Dooku, and then he wants to take over Mandalore and he wants to do this and do that. And is it for money? Probably not, because people say about credits in the Star Wars universe, but unless you're poor, the credits don't really seem to, like, there's no sort of poverty where, you have poor people, like on obviously Tatooine, you have the slaves and stuff like that, but they're looked after.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, you're so poor you will starve and not have clothes.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan lived in a cave with no credits. How did he eat? But there's no sort of thing to say, if you don't have credits, you're going to die. You don't see that kind of sort of life, do you?
No, you don't.
So Maul's obviously not doing it for money. He's obviously doing it because he wants purpose, maybe. He's had he's been pulled left, right and centre all these years. His brother got tortured in front of him and whatnot. And he's been obviously messed around with by the Night Mothers. That sounds wrong. But maybe he just wants purpose so much that he uses his aggression and his malice for Kenobi, but he uses that anger to say, right, I'm going to forge a path for myself.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all it is. He just wants to see a goal. He does all the wrong things, though. Because if somebody sat him down and said, you could do good in the galaxy, maybe we should go and help these people out and see how you feel, he could go, they annoyed me, I don't like them. And you go, didn't kill anybody, though. No, but like, seriously. Like,
yeah.
You know, did you think about Kenobi at all? No, you're on the mend.
Yeah, imagine.
And then imagine if he did meet Kenobi on Tatooine and he'd got over it. They didn't have to fight. Maybe Maul could say, I'm going to go into hiding as well.
Or maybe you'd have like some insider information about Palpatine or about Darth Vader. I'd be like,
yeah, they're building a star.
Yeah, was you've been stuck in a cave, I've been out
looking,
and I've seen things.
Yeah, Ahsoka Tano's still alive.
Yeah,
you know, how hard would that be? Ahsoka's still alive. I know you've got Luke here. Don't worry. Because he could have said, if he had seen that, if he had sort of calmed down a bit, he could meet Kenobi. He could have said something like, "Don't have to fight. I will try and keep the Empire off your back."
Yeah.
Because he knows that Anakin was the chosen one, and if he knows that Luke's his child, he could say, "So does that make him the new chosen one?"
Yeah.
Because he could
son of the chosen one.
Son of the chosen one. He could still say to Kenobi, "He will avenge us." And what Maul's saying there is not avenge me because I'm evil, I want you to die. I think he's saying he will avenge us because we've all been wrongly done.
Yeah.
Sidious has done wrong to every single one of us. Is Luke going to avenge us? Yes. I will keep the Empire off your backs as long as I can. Off he goes, and then he's not dead.
No.
But we don't hear from him again, and then it keeps it open maybe for other little things. But then at that point, Kenobi's turning into Alec Guinness, and he's already changed his ways. Maybe he doesn't have to fight Maul to become Alec Guinness's version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maybe it was the pretense to the fight which makes him think, oh God, no, I need to change.
Yeah.
But when he sees the change in Maul, he goes, maybe I can get Vader to stop a minute. And that's why he stops fighting him, because he stopped fighting Maul.
Yeah.
Just as a little sort of alternative headcanon there.
Yeah, which I like that.
But obviously they had to kill Maul off. They had to like I said,
to full circle that story.
To full circle the story. But if they didn't, it would have still made sense for Obi-Wan in Episode 4.
Yeah.
And Luke, and how the Empire and how Anakin, aka Vader Darth, didn't find Kenobi on his home planet. Maybe he's with my auntie. Who knows? But maybe Kenobi, Maul can just keep scrubbing information from the system. Oh, somebody searched for Tatooine. No, get rid of that.
Yeah.
Because he could still have a syndicate. Can you hack into their system? Yeah, great. Scrub that. Will cause trouble for the Empire. Almost anti-rebels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is that's something that'd be quite good, wouldn't it? Yeah,
because it's all for selfish. They're anti-heroes, but at the end of the day, it's always have they searched for Tatooine yet?
The greater good.
The greater good. Get rid of that Tatooine on that system there. We don't want Vader going down there. God, look at his arse. But so many avenues. I mean, I'm glad they did what they did with him, because it did make, and the way the animated series are, it does make you go, oh, stop it, Maul. Stop it. Like, that's enough now. But it had to be so violent and volatile because for Filoni to keep him alive after he was cut in half, he had to get volatile to stay alive, to sustain himself with the Force and stuff like that. So I understand why. And then what they had to do was they had to go, right, as nice as it is in Shaun's headcanon to flip him to good, we have to keep him volatile.
Yeah, this is how he knows how to survive.
Yeah, so he is surviving up until he meets Kenobi, which it's good for the story, but my little headcanon would have loved for him to just, obviously he gets Ezra and Ahsoka to the top of the Sith Tower and then he betrays them. Like we know that. That's obviously in his character. But what if he didn't?
What if
he said to take that to Yoda? I'm not a Sith.
This sounds like an excellent episode for the future. What if Darth Maul didn't betray
Ezra? Because this is the thing. As you know, he could have changed so much. Honestly, he could have.
It's all his characters that we don't see in live action that actually seem to have had
the biggest impact on the films.
Biggest impact, yeah,
on the films. You know, and I don't think he would have survived because he would have been an old man by the time Episode 7 come around. But I mean, he must have been Ewan McGregor's age in Phantom Menace. So without the shock and aging super quick, I still think he probably wouldn't be around in Episode 7 to make a difference.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And you wouldn't want him in Episode 5 and 6 because that was Luke's story.
That's a whole story. It's a Skywalker saga, isn't it?
It's a Skywalker saga. You can't really have Darth Maul poking his head in to Rey or whatever, you know. But what about this though? Snoke is Darth Maul, kept alive. If he was alive at this point,
I mean, age-wise, he'd probably look very similar.
He would have looked decrepit and old, sat in that chair. But if the Force sustained him when he was dead,
I would argue against this, based on what we've spoken about today.
Yeah.
So Darth Maul is aggressive.
Yeah. He's
probably rash. He probably just does stuff without thinking.
Oh yeah.
And he's not relaxed. He's not calm. Snoke is the opposite.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's methodical and he knows.
He's clearly a baddie.
Yeah.
You know, he's clearly very, very bad. But he doesn't rush things. He doesn't force things to happen quickly. He would rather, like, he sets up a bridge between two people on opposing sides as a long game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that eventually they come to him. If he was Darth Maul,
he would have done it.
He'd have gone out to find them.
Yeah.
And then just fought them wherever.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But it would be an interesting
swing on it, just to keep the characters contained. Because I'm sorry, we didn't need Snoke.
No,
it was crap. And when they gave Kylo Ren his bad dreams, maybe that could have been Darth Maul, because he's so violent, so aggressive, so full of malice. So this is obviously just scrubbing my idea about him not going after Kenobi. Say Kenobi and him didn't fight, but he was still really angry and horrible, and kept alive by the Force, even though he's 200 and something years old.
Yeah.
Finds Kylo Ren. Not only does he have nightmares because he's an ugly bastard, Darth Maul's there like manipulating him, and then everyone go, "Oh, Sidious did it. Oh, Sidious is back," and then Maul's there going, "Well, hold on a minute, bro. I tried to do this. Do you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Because you're telling me Sidious helped Kylo Ren make his lightsaber. Maul could have done it. Why? Yeah. Because Kylo Ren could have, been obsessed with Darth Vader, but he would have found Maul, who knew Anakin. And he could have gone, "Listen, old man, put your walnuts back in. Tell me about my grandpappy." And he could have gone, "I'll tell you. He hung around with somebody called Kenobi." But yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know Luke's an old man by the time Episode 9 comes around, blah blah blah, it's all a bit much, but to bring in Snoke to do some things, and Kylo Ren's sort of just a mysterious, he somehow knew how to do things without anybody showing him. Maul would have been quite a good scapegoat to go, "Oh, that's right, he found Maul showed him."
Yeah, it would have been. Definitely could have added something, couldn't it?
But then again, like you say, we've only seen him in Solo. Like, to bring him in and add him into bits is just another level of character that we don't need to see.
Yeah, and it would have caused more confusion and disappointment, probably.
Yeah, because
you brought him back, and just as this is an excuse to bring a character back, rather than this is a good reason for him to be back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like I say, the ending of Rebels, like Darth Maul's end, was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, it was really well done, and it was like 2.5 seconds of fight.
Yeah.
But you didn't need any more. Because it, like, if you ever get round to watching it, you're just like that. Well done. Didn't need it anymore. Less is more, and they're both old at that point. They don't need to be backflipping and crap.
No.
You know what I mean? They've had enough. But yeah, it was done so well. And then, of course, in Ahsoka, we see the Night Sisters anyway.
Yeah.
And she goes to the other galaxy and finds Ezra. Blah 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 blah. There's no need to really put Maul in that, because Ezra's grown up. So the timeline between Maul getting felled by Obi-Wan and the Ahsoka series is quite some time.
Right.
So even in that, we don't need to see Maul.
Yeah.
A flashback maybe would be nice. Like, if there's Ahsoka 2 and they're talking about something, and she goes, "Oh, do you remember that time we got that Sith holocron?" Flashback, live action Maul climbing a Sith tower with them. And then people can go, "Is Darth Maul there?
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's from Rebels. Yeah, do you want to watch Rebels? Yeah. All right, let's watch Rebels then." And then you're going, holy shit. Do you know what I mean? Just that maybe they could bring them in live action that way and just have a few things. But I still prefer our idea of a Darth Maul only season.
Yeah, crime boss.
And it's crime boss in between all these things happening. Couple of flashback episodes harking to live action animated. You know how they do it like word for word, but it's just live action, not animated. So people can go, "Oh yeah, that's the scene from this episode." He's actually done that. But yeah, like crime boss thing, a bit Andorish, and it's a bit more. It could be really gritty. It could be gritty.
No, he's angry.
He's angry all the time. It's not space wizards and all flying in ships and all this. It doesn't even have to go on a spaceship. He could literally be on the same planet. Again, like what I think Book of Boba should have been.
Yeah.
Book of Boba tried to do that avenue of, he's not going to leave Tatooine. He's going to stay there and do this and that. You could do that with Maul, but make it gritty, dark. And you know what? Haters will hate it. I'll love it though.
Yeah.
Keep it dark, keep it sinister,
Just the way it should be.
Bring in a couple of old characters. Maybe a Night Mother visits him in his dreams. And he goes, "Get out of my head. I'm doing this now. Leave me alone, Mum." She's like that. But then you go, "Oh, there goes the Night Mother. Great. What's that red planet?" "Ah, that's where it comes from."
Yeah.
Done. In a dream. Then he wakes up and one of his pirates is shaking him. "We're under attack." And he goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ." Looks at his lightsaber. "Do I have to use the lightsaber? Shall I just force choke him to death?" Grabs the lightsaber, off he goes. Draws the two-bladed live action again. We all go, "Yes!"
That's what we want to see.
And he kills them all and it's quite disgusting. And then he's like, "Do you know what we're going to do? Take a crew of your pirates and go and attack their main ship. See you later." How cool would that be?
It would be really good.
You wouldn't need anything else.
I think that'd be really good. I'd be interested to hear what the listeners might think of a Darth Maul series.
Yeah. Would they want to see him looking in a mirror and just see him talking about Kenobi in this mirror while a pirate's outside, Pike Syndicate knocking on the door? "Boss, you alright in there?" And he's going on about Kenobi the whole time. And then he's like, yeah, fine, I'll be out in a minute. Get in touch, people.
Yeah.
Come on, let us know.
Yeah, get in touch. Send us a DM on the old Instagram. You can find us at WIQGDD.
And if you want to email us, do that at wiqgdd@gmail.com.
Beautifully said.
Thank you, sir.
Right, well, I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Sounds good to me.
We are all Darth Mauled out for a minute.
Yeah, I've got a sore throat now. It's late. It's past my bedtime. It actually is.
What? So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And we will catch up with you soon. Pleasure talking to you, Shawnee.
And you, sir.
Look after yourself.
Kenobi. Be good.
And stay out of the Kenobi sand.